Good afternoon to you and thank you for joining us on Opinion 2017 this Tuesday, 21st of November 2017. So today we are revisiting the events of the fateful day of Friday, November 17th, when His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga was jetting in back in the country. We're also looking at the state of the resistance. Where are we and where are we supposed to be going? Are we on the right track? Is it happening? And I'm joined by none other than Ugunja Member of Parliament, Honorable Opiyo Wandayi, who's also the Director of Political Affairs of the ODM party. Mheshimiwa Wandayi, karibu sana. And thank you very much for granting us this interview. I know you're shuttling in between very many meetings and a series of consultative meetings, so to speak. Before we revisit Friday, and you know, on that Friday you were on the front line. First of all, I must just say we thank God that you're alive. It was a war-zone situation, actually. Today, during the inter-county games, which were kicking off in Machakos County, there's an incident that happened. When the Kakamega team was doing their march past, they actually just started shouting resist, and the whole field, the people who came to watch, even the VIPs on the dais joined in. Maybe this is just an indicator of what is going on in the country, that it's not just a Luo affair as some quarters would want it to look like.
Well, Baggy, to be frank with you, the country is surely in a revolutionary mood.
Right.
And however much one would want to wish it away,
yes,
the fact of the matter is that where we have reached, there can be no turning back as a country.
Yes.
But going back to the events of the Friday the 17th
yes.
of November.
Maybe let's have a look at that clip, then we go back to Friday 17th.
Yes, yes.
Because I know the Friday the 17th is a very weighty issue, especially for you, who was in the front line from JKIA all the way to Uhuru Park. Let's just have that clip from Machakos County. There you go. That was Machakos County, and yes, you're quite right.
Well, yeah. What I was saying, Baggy, is that that particular show by the contingent from Kakamega County,
right,
in Machakos County,
yes, is
basically a demonstration of the fact that the whole country is yearning for change.
Yes,
that this clamor for change is no longer a matter that can be confined to a specific area or specific region of the country, as Jubilee is
trying
fond of doing all the time.
Yes.
But it's a testament to the fact that the country is ripe for change. And this change is going to come. Yeah, however much those in power would want to resist it. So it basically calls upon Kenyans, all Kenyans of goodwill, to come out and push for this change.
Actually, yes. Governor Mutua was there, and Sonko, and they appear to have been surprised, you know, which leads me to ask the question, where do these people live? I mean, they seem to be detached from the realities of the day.
You know, there's a tendency by those who are in privileged positions,
right,
to alienate themselves from the reality.
Yes.
As things stand in this country, it is true that the people themselves are ahead of the leaders.
Right.
In terms of understanding what the country needs.
Right.
And I am happy and proud of the fact that me and my colleagues in the national resistance movement
Right.
have chosen to be on the right side of history. And as a matter of fact, following the events of the 8th of August,
Right.
when we had a fraudulent election, which election was subsequently nullified by the Supreme Court,
Right.
Kenya has never been the same again, and will never be the same.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, let's now revisit. Let me just go through a few comments. Then we revisit Friday, 17th of November. Kevin Shicks, you're saying they should know people. Well, Gerald Gatia, you're saying, Ken Sikalu, you're saying, watching with a lot of hope and prayers. Thank you for your prayers and thank you for keeping the hope. Big up to Kakamega County Assembly. That's by Maureen Arua. Now, Mheshimiwa, let's revisit Friday. I mean, people gathered from as early as 6 a.m. Police began harassing people from as early as 7 in the morning. And that procession, when it reached Likoni Road, that was like we were in Afghanistan or somewhere in Baghdad in the middle of the Gulf War, all the way to City Stadium, snaking to Mudhurwa, up to Haile Selassie and Uhuru Park. Bullets left, right, center. Tear gas. I mean, and there's some water that I saw that was purplish, bluish. I don't know what chemical concoction that one is. And you are on the front line.
Baggy, let's look at the whole matter in proper context.
Yes.
You know, the problem we have in this country is that we have got elements within the Jubilee administration who still live in the past, who are still stuck with the single-party hangovers.
Right.
And they believe that they can still use the police service as a tool to further their political agenda. Unfortunately, the police service itself has allowed itself to be manipulated by the political class to pursue an agenda which is alien to their mandate.
Right.
So why do I say so? If you saw what clearly happened on Friday, on the fateful Friday, you would be forgiven for actually coming to the conclusion that what we have around us is a rogue state supported by a rogue police service. For records, Baggy, under the new constitutional dispensation, the police has got no power or mandate to license or outlaw a gathering, a meeting, a procession, and what have you. Their work is simply to get notification from the organizers of such events and provide the requisite security for the participants in those activities. End of the story. And so, when we did notify the police service, quite on time, that we shall be welcoming our president, President Raila Amolo Odinga, on his return from the US trip. Their work was supposed to have been to provide us with the necessary security. But what did they do? Firstly, they attempted, because they purported to outlaw the procession, which is not within their power or mandate. But more importantly, when we did eventually welcome the President Raila Odinga from the airport, the police themselves attempted to disrupt a very peaceful demonstration, which was escorting the President Raila Amolo Odinga from the airport on Mombasa Road, even before we went to Jogo Road, or Likoni Road for that matter. So we must look at this matter square and say what needs to be said without fear of contradiction. The fact of the matter is that the Jubilee top command, led by, of course, Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, were uncomfortable with the prospects of President Raila Odinga being welcomed by multitudes of people. Indeed, we had said we would mobilize 1 million people. They were scared stiff of the prospects of 1 million people welcoming Raila and escorting him all the way from the airport to Uhuru Park. And that fear can only be informed by some kind of insecurity.
Right.
A sense of insecurity from the fact that they do not have the mandate of the people. Because if you are a truly elected president of a country, why would you fear?
Yeah, people
a citizen,
together. Yeah.
a citizen or your opponent organizing a procession or a meeting which is harmless.
Right.
The only justification for such an act would be fear or a sense of insecurity. But having said that, what happened was the most unfortunate thing that could ever have happened in our country. In most civilized jurisdictions, most civilized nations,
right,
whatever happened on Friday would have actually resulted in heads rolling.
Yes.
Up to very, very high levels.
Yes.
But this is Kenya. So the point is, the police service or elements within the police service who have allowed themselves to be used by the Jubilee administration to infringe on the rights of Kenyans must be made to understand that in the fullness of time, they shall be held to account, individually and collectively. It's also clear, because the footages are there,
yes,
that certain elements within the police service, including some very senior police officers, one of them, the one in charge of the Central Police Division.
Yeah, the OCPD Central.
Yes.
Yes.
Was captured in camera, hurling stones at vehicles carrying MPs.
And the next day, they say NASA supporters are violent.
So, and they go ahead and kill harmless, innocent Kenyans under the pretext of preserving law and order. That Friday alone, we lost close to 25 Kenyans in cold blood as a result of police and militia brutality. Personally, I lost my nephew, by the way.
Oh, police.
That same Friday evening. And it is a matter which cannot be taken lightly. This must be made very clear to all and sundry, that this country cannot afford to sit back and see the freedoms, the gains that were achieved through sweat and struggle being reversed or eroded at the altar of political expediency. It cannot be possible that this country can turn back to the era that we so wish to forget.
Mheshimiwa, I mean, those are weighty matters. Nick Mwema, county assemblies should also pass motions warning international lenders that if they lend Uhuru money, they will be liable. We don't recognize Uhuru presidency. He doesn't speak for us. Let him not borrow for us. We are already burdened. We will not pay for palaces of thieves. And we will get to that towards the end of the show, because I hear there's another Eurobond. It's a case of borrowing Peter to pay John. But back to Friday. Are there parameters of what police can use? Because I saw some bluish tear gas, purplish water. I think those are chemicals. I mean, were those chemical weapons deployed on Kenyan citizens?
You know, what happened on Friday, as I said earlier on, is something which is unheard of. Not only in the civilized world, but even nowadays in the third world.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
The amount of force, the kind of weapons that were deployed by the police service in trying to stop Raila Odinga from proceeding to Nairobi CBD was unprecedented. And indeed, even in conventional war, even during conventional warfare, some of the tactics and the weapons which were deployed by the police were never allowed.
Right.
So the question is, who gave these orders?
Right.
You'll recall that there was even an attempt at the life of none other than Raila Amolo Odinga.
Yeah,
on that fateful day.
Yeah, they shot at
So the question
at
is,
his car. Yeah.
who gave these orders? What was the command, the chain of command like?
Because, I mean, Mheshimiwa, if we were to break that argument
Yes.
down, a constable who's on the streets
Yeah.
receives a command from a higher officer, probably an inspector.
Yes.
It goes all the way to Boynet, to Matiang'i, and at the top of that ladder, the commander-in-chief is Uhuru.
But you see, I have said that in the fullness of time, each of these individuals will be held to account. But one thing that Mr. Boynet and his officers fail to understand is that you may assume that you have got some kind of immunity simply because you are propping up a political regime
Right.
which happens to be in power,
Yes.
however illegally.
Yes.
Then you think that you will forever be protected. History has demonstrated that such protection never lasts forever. In fact, never lasts for long.
Right.
It's not more than 6 years
Yes.
or 10 years
Right.
since a former head of the police service in this country was hauled to the ICC
Yes.
to answer to charges of crimes against humanity.
Right.
That Mr. Boynet must be made to remember. He must be reminded that however much you try to protect a regime or to defend a regime which is collapsing anyway, a time will come when you will be held to account as an individual. And if you want to know how rogue this police service has become,
Right.
2-3 days later, that is yesterday,
Yes.
after a supposed ruling by the Supreme Court, you see people claiming to be Jubilee supporters pouring on the streets,
Celebrating.
celebrating, disrupting traffic, and causing confusion and disturbances, and not a single tear gas canister is hurled at them. Not a single gunshot is heard from the
Right.
police service.
Right.
That tells you that the police service has accepted to be used in this country to profile Kenyans, okay? To profile Kenyans and actually participate in creating divisions within the populace. So that is something which was not envisaged by the writers of our very robust constitution. And it's a matter which must be revisited as a country if we are to move forward. Yes, as a country.
Just lastly on that issue of Friday, on that unfortunate day, if a police officer uses a stone to break a window of my car as a citizen, where do I go? Do I have recourse? I mean, do I just go and repair my car? What happens?
It tells you that the country has actually reached a level that is unimaginable.
Right.
It also proves the fact that the crisis we are finding ourselves in has reached unprecedented proportion.
Yes.
Because if, as you say correctly, a police officer who is supposed to protect the lives and property of Kenyans
Yes.
goes ahead to use an offensive weapon such as a stone to destroy a property of a Kenyan and also in the process injure the Kenyan,
Yes.
it basically demonstrates or tells you that we are already in an era, a state of lawlessness.
Right.
Okay? And therefore, those Kenyans had rather look for means to protect themselves, not only against other enemies, but also against the police themselves.
Right.
Okay? So those Kenyans will be justified to protect themselves against the rogue police and against rogue aggressors.
Right. Mheshimiwa, just as we wrap up that issue about police brutality, you visited Mheshimiwa Mbui and Oluoch. How was the injury that Mheshimiwa Mbui suffered, and how is he faring on so far?
Well, you know, the Honorable Robert Mbui, that is the MP for Kathiani,
Yes.
was actually injured and had his leg broken
Yes.
on that Friday as a result of police brutality.
Correct.
Actually, he got injured at on Laslassi Avenue.
Yes.
And as we speak, he's hospitalized in Nairobi.
Yes.
I did visit him yesterday, though he's improving,
Yes.
but he's still in a lot of pain.
Okay.
Likewise, the Honorable Anthony Oluoch,
Right.
the member for Moderator,
Yes.
was actually injured from police brutality
Yes.
on Sunday morning in in Waraka constituency.
Right.
He's also hospitalized with a broken leg.
Yes.
We don't know who is going to be injured next, or to what extent whoever will be injured will be injured.
Will be injured.
So,
yes.
so we are facing a very, very, very serious situation. We have a very, very serious situation at hand that has to be addressed as a matter of urgency. We know that Jubilee is desperate. Jubilee under Uhuru Kenyatta is desperate to portray to the whole world that things are normal,
Yes.
that normalcy is returning to Kenya, that it is business as usual. But I want to caution them that they are mistaken. Things can no longer be normal. There can no longer be business as usual.
Right.
Until and unless Kenyans sit down and agree to bring back electoral justice,
Yes.
to bring back our democracy, which has been stolen by these fellas.
Good. Let me go through just a few comments here. Nancy Tumaini, you're asking way forward with, I think, over 10 question marks. Thank you for that. Daniel Osieko, you're saying, Wandayi, you are spot on. Winnie, you're saying, Aluta continua, hashtag resist. There was sporadic incidents of violence around the country after that unfortunate announcement. Reports from Kakamega indicate that a Safaricom base station was burnt down. Basically, Mheshimiwa, the state of the resistance. Is the resistance alive and well? Is it strong? Will it succeed?
You know, it is not that there were sporadic demonstrations. There were widespread demonstrations yesterday across the country.
Yes.
In reaction to the judgment by the Supreme Court.
Right.
Of course, on a matter to which we are not a party as a movement.
True.
But one thing that must be understood, again clearly, very, very clearly, is that the resistance spirit is getting stronger by the day.
Right.
And it must also be understood that resistance is not a one-day affair,
Yes.
or a one-week affair,
Right.
or a one-month affair.
Right.
The resistance has begun and it will continue for as long as the issues we are raising have not been addressed. And it must also be understood that this resistance is a movement that is spread across the country. And it is owned by Kenyans themselves. As I said earlier on, Kenyans seem to be way ahead of their leaders in terms of what they perceive to be the issues that the country faces and how they need to be addressed. So let no one be mistaken that business will return to normalcy.
Yes.
Just because the Supreme Court ruled somehow Uhuru Kenyatta was elected on the 26th of October.
Right.
From where we sit, we are at the point when the Supreme Court annulled the fraudulent election of the 8th of August.
Right.
We have not moved an inch as a country.
Right.
As a country.
Right.
We didn't recognize the elections of 26th of August.
Yes.
We didn't participate in the ensuing court process. So we are not concerned with what happened in the court. We are not bothered with the ruling that was given by the judges.
Yes.
We don't recognize the elections of the 26th of October. We don't recognize those who did participate in those elections. And therefore, we don't recognize the outcome of those elections.
Right.
As we sit, we know there's a stalemate which must be addressed politically.
So, Mheshimiwa, as we stand, Uhuru is not your president.
He can't be. He cannot be my president because I don't recognize him. I didn't elect him. Okay?
Right.
Yes, it is my responsibility, it's my duty, it is my constitutional right
Right.
to either recognize you or refuse to recognize you. You know, something you can do about it. Yeah.
So now,
Yeah.
I mean, does it mean that then somebody is asking, does it mean that Kenya has a temporary president or half a president? Or then in that case, you don't recognize Uhuru. Who is your president?
Well, you know, I can fail to, you know, my president, I've said many times.
Yes.
Yes, that my president is Raila Amolo Odinga. It is my duty. It is my power and constitutional right
Yes.
to perceive whomsoever I think of perceiving as my president.
Right.
Yes, and for now I'm saying my president is Raila Amolo Odinga. And I've got no apologies to make for that.
So then it means whatever happens, the swearing in, whatever ceremonies will happen, you and other people who think like you, who I know they're in their millions, are not bound by that.
I have said that Jubilee should not even bother waiting for 7 days. They can go ahead and swear Uhuru Kenyatta even today as their president. But it won't change anything, really. Yeah, it will not change anything at all, at all.
There have been calls, especially from the senator of Machakos, Johnson Muthama, and it's now a slogan that is all over. Wakiapisha tunaapisha. What does that mean, Mheshimiwa?
Well, you see, that is basically an indication that some Kenyans are willing to go ahead and swear their own president. But that's an issue we can't discuss here.
Okay.
That's an issue we won't discuss here because really, I know as a resistance movement we have got to a plan of action.
Yes.
Yes, which we have been rolling out from time to time.
Yes.
In bits. I'm sure in the next few days, the country will be hearing more from our movement.
From the movement.
On the next course of action.
On the next
so
course
there
of
should be
action.
no cause for alarm.
Yes.
Our members all over the country should remain calm. Yeah, and not lose hope in whatever way. To remain calm and remain focused.
Okay, just two questions as we wrap up, as we begin to wrap up. The People's Assemblies, there is a ruling by a court sitting in Kitui, I want to believe, that appeared to say that those assemblies are not legal. Norman Magaya, the NASA CEO, has since mentioned that that ruling has been overtaken by events. What's your take on that?
You know, that's the kind of doublespeak
Yes.
that we are used to from Jubilee.
Yes.
On the one hand, they have been deriding the People's Assemblies as an issue. On the other hand, they are seriously panicking
Yes.
over the passage of motions by the various county assemblies for the formation of the People's Assemblies.
Yes.
And that's why they have used their surrogates to rush to some court somewhere to attempt to forestall the activities
Yes.
around the People's Assemblies. But
Yes.
it is futile. Because as we speak, 9 county assemblies have already passed the motion
Right.
establishing the People's Assemblies. Many others are going to do so this week and next week.
Yes.
So we are talking about a revolution, really. Yeah, and you cannot stop a revolution by way of court action. It is futile. It will never happen. Yeah, so we are not bothered by those court actions. What we know is that people have now reached a stage where they have decided to exercise their sovereign power directly as mandated by the Constitution.
Right.
Kenyans are now going to exercise their power directly.
So you're saying that the People's Assembly is very much within the Constitution?
Very, very much.
There have been sentiments by the Deputy President and other people from Jubilee quarters that this People's Assembly is extra-constitutional and it's a way of grabbing power through the back door.
Those sentiments can only be born out of ignorance. We have said, and we say so repeatedly, that everything we are doing are within the Constitution.
Right.
I think most of these fellas did not grasp the new Constitution properly. In any case, they are opposed to it anyway. Yeah, so they did not internalize the latitude that the new Constitution has given citizens, including deciding to say no to dictatorship. That Constitution gives Kenyans the right to say no to Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto.
Yes.
That we refuse you, we reject you and your dictatorship. Yes.
Let me just read a few comments. Mheshimiwa Cecilia Moshene, you're saying, I stand with Baba for better or worse. I don't recognize anyone else as my president. Fred Duda, you're saying, I do not recognize Uhuru as my president. Hashtag resist. Evelyn Kavaya, you're saying Uhuru is a president for Jubilee. Don Yasir, you're saying Tibim Kabisa, Baba is our president. There's an issue that is coming out of these comments, and somebody is saying Fundi wa fridge. Fundi wa fridge. You're saying kindly persuade your fellow legislators to resign and force Uhuru out of power. We have sacrificed as your supporters for long. It's your turn to show patriotism. The time is now. Well, I need to mention that Mheshimiwa Wandayi is one of the guys who are always in the front line. I remember in the last parliament, you really suffered.
But even then, I agree with him.
Yes.
The only thing we need to know is that by just resigning from parliament, that alone won't make Uhuru go home. Okay? In fact, they just go ahead and organize some bogus by elections in our respective constituencies.
Yes.
And of course, and pretend that life continues. So we have got action plan. There are actions we have lined up.
Yes.
Within the national resistance movement.
Correct.
Framework that will make pressure bear on Uhuru Kenyatta and eventually send him home.
Right.
So let him not be worried.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody is asking, we were told that Kalonzo Musyoka was going to come back with Baba. Do you have information as to perhaps what held him up? Because I think there are many...
Well, that was misinformation.
Yes.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to be coming back with Baba.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When he'll be coming back, Kenyans will be told, and then we'll go and welcome him.
Yeah.
In the normal manner.
In the
NRM style. Yeah.
In the NRM style. Let me just go through a few comments, then we wrap up. Well, there's an exchange between a lady, Mercy Macharia, and Cecilia Mosheke. And Cecilia is saying, I'll stand with Baba for better, for worse. Mercy Macharia is telling her, go to your own country because you don't belong to Kenya. And that comment has just sparked another Third World War on this page. Freddie Murunga is saying, we are supporting you. Jerof Safi Dolvi saying, Raila is my preso. Karen Abuga saying, resist, Uhuru is not my president. Just as we wrap up, Mheshimiwa, what do you have to say to the whole NASA fraternity and also the international community? Remember, Raila Odinga did mention when he was addressing a press conference on Sunday that this is time for international intervention. I mean, should the NASA supporters sit pretty? Many of them are asking, what should we expect?
Well, to our NASA supporters and NRM followers all over the country.
Right.
Firstly, I must say I'm very sorry for the suffering a number of them have gone through in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Many of them have been maimed. A number have lost their lives as a result of police and police-backed militia brutality.
Yes.
We say apology to them.
Okay.
But to the international community,
yes,
arising from these grave cases of human rights abuse,
yes,
it is time you came out strongly and sided with the people of Kenya and took action to forestall further catastrophe.
Yes.
That is very, very important.
Yes.
And to all our supporters,
yes,
our fellow resistors,
yes,
I want to assure you that the resistance is on. And where we have reached is a defining moment. It's a defining moment, and victory is at hand. We should not give up. We should not lose hope. We are almost closing the journey. Thank you very much.
Very well, Mheshimiwa, we do appreciate. Let me just get one comment here. I mean, people have been talking about Tuesday. I don't know what is happening on Tuesday. There is no official communication about anything on Tuesday. Phoebe Oki, you're saying resist, resist, resist. Esimba Yabosaregi is saying Honorable Wandayi, you're a great man.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Very well.
As we continue to assist.
As we continue to resist. Thank you very much for your valid comments and contribution. I just want to encourage you that when you're sending your comments, especially Mercy Macharia, you can be civil about it. We can agree to agree or agree to disagree, but with civility. We thank you for your contributions, though, and thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Opiyo Wandayi. I know you have a tight schedule.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
so grateful for you granting us this opportunity to interview you. Thank you for watching Opinion 2017. Keep believing. Goodbye.